Hi, this video is about Orguss. It's a mech anime that came out in 1983 in Asia, particularly in Hong Kong, where I was at the time. I was 7 years old, and here is the toy. This anime probably came out at a time when in North America you guys were probably just started beginning to watch Transformers. In Asia at the time, they just finished broadcasting the entire Macross series, and they started playing Orguss. And at the same time, I think Transformers came out in North America already. So here it is. This is Orguss, and you can tell it's really high quality. It's starting to fall apart. Um, okay, the arm fell apart. I'll admit that. It probably got into a battle with this guy, Macross. Okay, fine. There's a different story, but you can tell it's the same size, right? The toys are the same size, probably the same materials, metal, plastic. So it's probably made by the same designers. And here it is. You can actually open up the cockpit. I'm not sure why they put the pilot in the crotch area of the robot, but if you open it, you can actually see that this is the sort of, I guess you can say, the control panel. And the human figure, the main character in the story is Kei Katsuragi, and he kind of sits on top. I've actually lost that figure, but in the anime, that figure is obviously human size, right? But he sits on top, and he controls the mech warrior from there. Again, I'm not sure why they put it into the crotch area. That's kind of interesting. Anyways, this guy also got into a battle, and he lost his other arm probably to this guy. Jetfire from Transformers. No, just kidding. It's a different story, obviously, but you can tell it's the same size. And it's very similar quality. The plastic and the metal is probably around the same type of company that made it. And as I mentioned earlier, it is the same studio that created Macross, but the storylines are not connected. And so anyways, a toy like this cost about 50 Hong Kong dollars at the time, which is about $10 Canadian, and they were promoting it heavily. It was very actually expensive at the time for a toy, but it's a very high quality toy. This mech warrior transforms into 4 modes. I'm not going to transform it because if I transform it, it will probably just fall apart anytime. And I'll show you what it transforms into later. And what is cool is actually it transforms into a tank and a jet with legs, like it's like a fighter walker, and it transforms into a jet. And also, what's interesting is that at the time, I was 7 years old, and my mom gave me $1 Canadian, which is about $1 Hong Kong dollars, which is about 20 cents Canadian, probably about 15 cents US, back in 1983. And I was supposed to buy lunch with that money, but instead I went to the newsstand, these little dingy newsstands, and buy these little books. And these little booklets would promote the anime as well as the toys. You can tell it's a very thin. It's a very thin booklet. It's probably about 20 pages, but it's got really cool images and illustrations. You can tell they actually put a lot of time into drawing these very colorful images. Here is Orguss, and you can see that here in Orguss, it transforms into 4 modes: the tank, the little fighter walker with legs, I'm not sure what that's called, and a jet. And it's got a pretty good storyline, actually. To make a long story short, it's about this huge explosion that was detonated by the main character, Kei, and the whole Earth turns into this, like, multiple parallel universe where different universes exist at the same time inside the Earth, and they're all trapped in this Earth. So that's a pretty advanced storyline for a 1983 anime for kind of teenagers and kids. And I think a lot of these Japanese anime are very kind of ahead of their time in terms of the storylines. So anyways, here's more images. You can tell if you've missed an episode on cable TV at the time, you can kind of get like a synopsis of what happened. If you don't, you're just kind of like catching up in the middle of the episode, they'll give you kind of like a synopsis of what happened and kind of descriptions of the characters, the bad guys, the good guys. Here's another one. This is more about Macross, but you can tell it's very detailed illustrations, and tells you who the good guys are, how all the bad guys are, and descriptions of the characters, and a lot of battle scenes. Very colorful. You can tell a lot of effort was put into these small little booklets at the time. Obviously, they're promoting the toys. I have no idea what all these Chinese characters said at the time, but I just bought it obviously for the robots. I wasn't too into storylines when I was young, and you can see that this really inspires kids to kind of buy these toys and pose them. according, and with the cool backdrops, and maybe even get out a pencil and a pen and start drawing robots just because they've seen it on TV and they've seen this magazine, and gets their creative juices going. You can see promotion of the toys. It tells you what the characters are. And how they tie into the storyline. A lot of cool battle scenes here. I remember drawing this when I was a kid. I was 7 years old, and I wanted to draw all these F-14 fighter jets. I think this was at a time when Top Gun already came out, so I was kind of inspired by Top Gun. And you can see a lot of videos on YouTube with these anime series edited with Highway to the Danger Zone in the background and the music. There's a lot of those on YouTube. Anyways, more battle scenes, really cool toys. As I mentioned, I couldn't read Chinese at the time, but I just bought it just to look at the pictures, and also to nag my mom to buy me more of these figures, which was kind of cool. And a lot of battle scenes here. Oh, that's a fully armored Veritech fighter. That's really cool. And I wanted to show you some of these images here. Here, as I mentioned, Orguss and Macross came out at around the same time in Asia, so they kind of mixed it up here. Obviously, it's from the same creators too, right? So, a lot of promotions here, a really cool battle scene here, and a lot of things going on. That's really, really cool. And more illustrations of characters and warriors and robots that you've probably seen before in Robotech. And really cool. I can only imagine that this says that the Macross Fortress gives an uppercut to a Imperial Starship Destroyer or something like that. Obviously, it's not Star Wars. This was a really cool image of a Veritech fighter being maintained and repaired, and you can it kind of sparks a lot of imagination for little kids. When you see the inside of the Veritech fighter and it being repaired. I'm not sure if there was a scene like that in the anime, but the other characters here, the other Veritech fighters here under maintenance, really cool, a really cool battle scene here, and another cool illustration here. So very dynamic, very colorful, very kind of gets your creative juices running. And one thing that's really cool, which I'm not sure if I can play it here, but in Orguss, every time there was a lead up to the commercial, they played this sound, which was stuck in my head for a long time. I'm just going to play here so you can hear it. So that's kind of like a robotic voice of Orguss. And that noise, Orguss, I guess that was very advanced at the time to kind of digitize a voice and make it sound cool, kind of like Optimus Prime. But that's stuck in my head for 40 years because every day after school I would hear that sound, and every time they had a commercial break, they would play that sound that said Orguss in a digitized voice. So that was really cool. Anyways, that's my video on Orguss. I hope you liked it, and if you have any comments, let me know, and hope to hear from you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.